Ich bin's wieder, Heroismus, hier mit meinem Let's Play von Wright, Dual Destinies. Und beim letzten Mal haben wir mit der Episode angefangen und dank Trucy konnten wir verhindern, dass dieser Kerl nochmal vor uns abhaut. Jetzt können wir ihn wieder ausquetschen. Also, schieß mal los. Warum kamst du auf die Idee, überhaupt die beiden Gebäude zu vertauschen? Director Cosmos, when you were talking in court about switching the launch pads, you used your right to remain silent about the reason as to why. I'd like Director Cosmos to tell us why he switched the two launch pads to begin with. Please, I can't. I exercise my right to remain silent. But I will say, my hands were tied. I was only doing what I could to keep my men from getting caught in that blast. The center of the cosmos is shrouded in mystery, but I don't have any secrets left. Now that my battleship has been destroyed and I've been taken prisoner. Was? Das war so klar. Danke für die Blockaden. Werden wir gleich ausmerzen. No secrets left, huh? I beg to differ. Looks like I'll have to undo his psyclocks if I want to get to the bottom of this. Ja, also direkt an den Start. Friss das, Schlampe! Und damit meine ich nicht seine Fischstäbchen. Blockade! Behind the switching of the launch pads. I want you to tell me everything you're hiding about the switching of the two launch pads. I refuse. You can't make me. I can hold out longer than anyone. Surrender my Fischstäbchen. I hope I never get like this when I'm old. Now, let's see. Where to start? This is how you explained your motive for switching the launch pads. You did it? Ja, um die Astronauten zu schützen. Thanks to you switching the launch pads, the astronauts escaped injury from the blast. Instead, they safely boarded the museum's rocket, far away from the actual explosion. My astronauts were raring to go out on an authentic adventure in space. How do you propose I had them board a fake rocket without them noticing? I agree you couldn't have done it without help. For one, they would have figured it out the instant they stepped into the Space Museum. You figured you could fool Mr. Starbuck once he'd been drugged with his medication, but without the help of this person, it would have been impossible to pull your plan off. Ja, wenn schon Mr. Starbuck davon nichts mitbekommen hat, dann muss es zumindest Clay gewusst haben. Der hätte da sonst sicherlich nicht ohne weiteres da mitgespielt. You must have gotten Mr. Terran to help you. He stole the tranquilizers from his mentor's locker and slipped them to him. And then, with Mr. Starbuck in a daze, they boarded the replica rocket in the museum. Someone please help this poor prisoner of war, Fischstäbchen! How is he able to spin around like that? Egal. Weg. If you really wanted to save the astronauts' lives, shouldn't you have just called off the launch? If I could have done that, do you think I would have gone to all that trouble? I guess he must have a compelling reason why he couldn't call it off. But how did you know to switch the pads in advance of the bombing incident? Well, that's because I was warned in advance. Once I received that warning, it was my duty to ensure my astronaut safety. But it was just a warning. It could even have been a prank. Ja, sowas gibt's leider häufiger. Why did you believe in it so completely? Because I went to one of those mediums that everyone's talking about these days. Oh, I didn't realize channeling was back in vogue. Besides, I thought it was you yourself that got the warning via telephone. Yes, that's right. The bomber contacted me personally. My battleship is equipped with a special advanced communication system, you see? AKA a regular old telephone. It's been a while. Planning another launch? I see you haven't learned. I'll never forget the terror I felt when I received that call. The bomber said it's been a while? And that was enough to make you take the threat seriously? Perhaps Director Cosmos took the threat so seriously because the Space Center had been involved in a bombing once before? Maybe the culprit in the current case is the same person who was involved in this incident. Ja, dieses sogenannte HAT-1-Miracle. The HAT-1 miracle. That epic story of survival. People across the nation know it now as a heroic tale of bravery. But in truth, it was an act of sabotage perpetrated by our current killer, wasn't it? Very few knew about the previous plot, so when the caller said it's been a while, Entschuldigung, you knew beyond a shadow of a doubt that the danger was real, and it wasn't a prank. Girl, didn't anyone ever tell you to go easy on the next serviceman? Ja, so viele Fischstäbchen über meinem Kopf. The HAT-1 miracle was really a desperate battle against an act of sabotage. I even lost the life of one of my staff members in the fight. Aha! Es ist also sogar jemand gestorben. Interessant. Sabotage, murder. So this is the ugly truth behind the HAT-1 miracle. I let my guard down. I thought the saboteur had been caught and that the case was closed. Huh? Wait a minute. The murder at the Space Center 7 years ago. This must be the person that Dr. Cosmos thought was the culprit. Sorry, mittendrin hat sich hier Dingsbums gemeint, sich hier was zu öffnen. Manchmal ist mein PC eine Pussy. Auf jeden Fall, der Typ, der vor 7 Jahren schon wegen Mordes verhaftet wurde. Verurteilt sogar. Von dem er geglaubt hat, dass er für das Ganze verantwortlich ist. AKA Simon Blackwell. Simon Blackwell, the murder suspect in a case that happened here 7 years ago. The place and the time of the 2 incidents, the murder and the sabotage, were the same. So you thought that he committed both crimes. But while Prosecutor Blackwell was behind bars, you got another threatening call. If the culprit this time is the same as 7 years ago, then it isn't Simon Blackwell. Realizing that, you were shaken. It meant the true culprit's been running free all this time. How do you keep seeing straight through me? Ich bin halt ein Meister darin, Blockaden zu lösen. Spast. Also, jetzt raus mit der Sprache. The reason why Director Cosmos won't talk about why he switched the launch pads is connecting to the truth behind the HAT-1 miracle. The sabotage and murder that happened at the Space Center 7 years ago. Director Cosmos, tell us what you're hiding. If you really want to understand the reason I decided to switch the launch pads, we'll have to start with the story of that horrible nightmare from 7 years ago.
Geschichtsstunde. Also gut, liebe Kinder, hört gut zu.
7 years ago? You mean the so-called HAT-1 miracle? The launch went smoothly, but once the ship entered outer space, then the troubles began. It was all the handiwork of a certain person and their evil scheme. So Mr. Starbuck's traumatic experience wasn't accidental. Not only that, but before the launch, a very valuable piece of moon rock was stolen. But that wasn't the worst of it. One of my staff members was murdered.
Wow! I had no idea such awful events were behind that exciting story of space heroism.
All that, in spite of the Space Center having very strict security in those days. All personal effects were examined thoroughly, coming or going. You couldn't even smuggle a withered old leaf through those checkpoints. So, do you have any clue who was responsible for the sabotage? At the very least, I know it wasn't Simon Blackwell. I don't know enough to identify the true culprit, but it's clear what that person is. To put it simply, a spy. Der Spy von Team Fortress? Aber ich mag ihn!
A spy? You mean somebody who infiltrates a foreign country? Carries out dangerous missions and always gets the girls?
Nicht diese Art von Spion, Trucy. Wir sind nicht in einem Actionfilm. Wir sind nicht bei True Lies. Someone's watching way too many late-night movies. Well, I guess if we're talking about blowing up a rocket and stealing research material, it's not all that surprising that a spy could be behind it all. Also ein Spion war unter ihnen. Make no mistake, there's cutthroat rivalry between nations in the space R&D race. Some try to outdo others by any means possible, even deliberate obstruction. 7 years ago, we got a call before the launch warning us of sabotage. The same MO as this time. Yes. And here I thought the perpetrator had been caught, but it looks like I was wrong.
Prosecutor Blackwell seemed more like a ninja than a spy, don't you think?
Aren't ninjas and spies basically the same thing? Eigentlich schon. Eigentlich schon. But there's a good reason we failed to find the real spy. A massive cover-up by the government. Government officials were too embarrassed to admit that they had allowed such a thing to happen at the hands of a spy. Don't tell me they made the police rush the investigation! They did indeed. And then, to cover up the sabotage, they cleaned up the story. And that was the HAT-1 miracle, wasn't it? But then, 7 years later, the same MO, advance warning of sabotage. That must have been the director's reason for switching the launch pads. Okay. 7 years ago, the spy gave you advance warning of their plans, just like this time. That was what made you decide to switch the launch pads, wasn't it? That's right. The caller knew the facts of the case 7 years ago, despite the cover-up. They knew about the sabotage, the moon rock, the murder. And they said, you don't want things to go like they did 7 years ago, do you? I immediately thought of calling off the launch, but the government wouldn't let me. We don't give it to the likes of terrorists. We must proceed for our country's honor. Also bei sowas könnte ich schon kotzen. Wenn schon die Sicherheit von Leuten auf dem Spiel steht, dann mache ich doch nicht weiter. Ey, Menschen. It was quite a moving speech, actually. Moving? Really? Maybe if you're easily inspired by political talking points. But I knew the truth. We had been warned, which meant that the danger was very real. And I knew there was no way to stop the spy. No matter what I did, they would find a way. That's why I switched the launch pads and staged the moving rescue scene. First, I snuck into the center the night before and switched the launch pads. That way, the astronauts would go from boarding launch 1 to the Space Museum. Then I put a close for repairs sign at the door to launch pad 1 and boarding launch 2. You did that so normal visitors wouldn't enter, right? What else did you do? I enlisted the help of several staff members, including Terran. But you didn't let Mr. Starbuck in on it? He'd already been through enough, and he's not good at lying to keep a secret. I'm afraid I had no choice but to have him drugged. My plan went well until...
Clay's murder, huh?
After the culprit made their escape, I switched the launch pads back. I did it in such a way that no one would find out, but after all that effort, Terran is dead, and the HAT-2 is destroyed. And the Hope capsule, which had returned to us only recently, was also lost in that blast. My home, the center of the cosmos. My beautiful Kosmos Space Center is done for! Mein armen Fischstäbchen! Wait, what did he mean by the Hope capsule was lost in that blast? I thought that the Hope capsule was found at the crime scene with Mr. Terran. It had just been brought back by the Hope space prop with asteroid samples inside. So what kind of samples are they? What's in them? The samples are scheduled for analyze in the near future. We haven't had time since they just came back the day before Terran's murder. The capsule was being held in a safe in launch pad 1, but I gave it to Terran before the incident so it wouldn't be destroyed in the explosion. The idea was that, with it safely in Terran's possession, he could make it look like he rescued it during the staged miraculous escape. But our precious research materials ended up lost to the explosion anyway.
But I thought Clay was supposed to keep it safe.
You misunderstand. The launch pad explosion wasn't the one the capsule was lost to. It was lost after the police confiscated it as evidence. Aha! Also wo ist es da verreckt, das Ganze? It was the courtroom bombing from the other day. The capsule was there in the courtroom as evidence and was blown to smithereens. Yet another casualty of that blast. Ultimately, I think the culprit may have known about the switching of the launch pads. What? How? The police found a wiretapping device during their investigation today. A bug aboard my battleship. A tap on my advanced communication system. A wire on that phone? Yes, a wire on this very phone. Also war sie verwandt. I used this phone to give instructions to my staff about the launchpad switch. Just to the few select members who knew about the plan. Just before the incident, staff members were coming in and out of Launchpad 1. The culprit probably slipped in with them amid the confusion and planted the bomb then. Yes, if they were tapping your phone, they definitely could pull something like that off. So you really think the same spy is behind this incident and the one 7 years ago? Yes, I'm sure of it. Then the spy must be the phantom Prosecutor Blackwell has been chasing. But Prosecutor Blackwell told me once. The hunt I've been on for the phantom of 7 years past continues even still. For starters, that case happened right here at this very space center too.
So we can fight this phantom!
That's right, we can clear Athena's name. And then there's the matter of Prosecutor Blackwell too.
What about him?
Well, if the culprit of 7 years ago is the same person as in the current incident, it would mean Prosecutor Blackwell is innocent. That's still an if, though.
I wonder how dangerous that guy would be in court without handcuffs. But if we're going on a ghost hunt, count me in.
Oh. It's all over for me! Spin, spin, whirl, whirl, I'm done for! The center of the cosmos is turned! Fish station!
Do you think he's going to be alright, Daddy?
Well, at least he'll be in good company. There must be planets out there he can spin with. Which reminds me, I'd like to delve a little deeper into the HAT-1 mission too. If you want to learn more, start with the Space Museum! There's a HAT-1 exhibit here. Oh, don't mind me, I'll just keep spinning here and see how the cosmos unfolds. Okay.
It's like he achieved spiritual enlightenment or something.
I'm sure he'll stop when he gets dizzy. Let's go visit the Space Museum. Wäre eine gute Idee, bevor uns noch vor die Füße kotzt vor Schwindel. Auch wenn es lustig aussieht, so ein menschlicher Brummkreisel. Alter, so lächerlich. Na gut, dann erstmal verkrümeln wir uns ins Museum und beenden an dieser Stelle dann wieder den Part. Aber diese Theorie, dass Blackwell schon immer eigentlich unschuldig war und unschuldig im Gefängnis saß, das wirft schon wieder Sachen auf. Ja, ja. Gut, egal ob positiv oder negativ, Bewertung immer gern gesehen. Das war's von meiner Seite und wir sehen uns das nächste Mal wieder. Sehr geil.